Sounds great.
Hello, this is Anna Laura Brown, host of the Autoimmune Rehab Podcast, where we talk about how to actually thrive and heal your autoimmune condition rather than just covering it up with pills or changing your diet and hoping you'll feel better one day. We feature solo episodes on helpful topics and interviews with guests who have actually walked in your shoes with autoimmune disorders and/or who have years of experience in helping people to thrive and not just survive with autoimmune challenges. I'm a health coach who started this podcast because I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's in 2018, and I wanted to inspire hope and transform health for people with autoimmune challenges. So keep listening and let's get you the help and hope you really need. This is the Autoimmune Rehab Podcast, and today I am really excited to have Lisa Joy here with me. And if you have ever wondered all about what transformational breath work is, that is what we are going to be talking about today. So, welcome to the podcast, Lisa Joy. Start off by telling us a little bit about who you are.
Thank you so much for having me, Anna Laura. My name is Lisa Joy. I'm an integrated movement specialist. I specifically work on how the brain, the body, the breath, and how you move all works together to help people eliminate pain through small changes in daily activities.
Awesome. That's really great. And as I mentioned in the introduction, we're going to be talking about transformational breath work. So, why don't we jump on in and have you start off by telling us what exactly is transformational breath work, or how would you actually define it?
Yes. So I love the term transformational breath work. And sometimes I think we see interesting things on the internet of really what looks like very intense and rapid and crazy breathing practices. And for me, I really look at the transformation that comes by noticing the breath and being able to feel the breath move through your body, and then how to change and shift the way that you're breathing in order to change and shift the way that you feel. So the transformation really comes through deep somatic listening, which is understanding how you feel inside your body, and then taking action based on what you discover while you're listening.
That's awesome. That's great. So it's kind of a little bit like combining meditation with the breath work a little bit. Or is that how you would define it? Or would you define that as being still a little bit different?
Yeah, I think that's a nice way of putting it. I think that there is a type of meditation that some people are familiar with, which is taking the seat of the observer to become the watcher and the noticer of what's occurring either internally or externally. So with transformative breath work, we are paying attention internally to what is going on. And then it goes a step further because it's not just observing, but then taking action by changing and moving the breath with intention in order to make those shifts in how you feel.
That's awesome. That's cool. So how did you get started doing this whole thing? Tell us a little bit about your story about how you got started in this whole transformational breathwork field.
Yeah, so it kind of I kind of came to it in a couple of circles, but essentially I started practicing yoga at first in high school, but then I came back to it when I was actually playing rugby. And in my early 20s, I was playing very competitively and I was starting to experience um, a lot of little injuries and sometimes somewhat big injuries. But at the same time, I was a personal trainer. I was training for play and I was training in CrossFit. And so I came to yoga uh as a way to kind of have an alternative to calm down, to focus inward, to find some peace in the more chaotic experience and the more aggressive way of playing a sport. And in turn, I wound up finding a lot more than that. I found, an internal peace and really enjoyed moving my body at a very simple and easy level and noticing that the body moves with the breath already, that just by mechanism of being alive, this movement is inherent in our breathing. And so I started to study and I started deepening my yoga practice, became a yoga teacher, and then I started studying meditation, which actually was a lot of breath work techniques and practices. And through that, I began to realize that as I was battling these injuries and having pain, that it wasn't really the exact exercises or movements that I was doing because I could do those movements all different ways. You could do a leg lift and it could feel totally different depending on how you're intending to move your leg. And as I started to realize that, it really came down to one, being a better listener, really listening to my body, and then two, doing the actions in such a way that didn't cause me more harm. And so I immediately started transmitting this information to my clients. I was teaching yoga and a personal trainer at the time, and then I became a massage therapist. And when I started doing the body work and working with the tissue, I also started incorporating the breathing practice with it. And so I'd work with the person even while I was hands on to incorporate that natural movement of the breath, and then to become intentional with how to move with the breath in order to reduce the experience of pain.
Wow, that's amazing. That's, I guess, something I never really thought of, incorporating the breath in with massage. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the breath really, again, it inherently is incorporated in everything that we do. Anything that we do in terms of being alive is going to be breathing. And yet, we do so much that can really shorten our breath, shallow our breath, restrict our breath. And that takes away our ability to really, one, experience life more fully, experience what's going on in our body more fully, and just has a cycle of reducing the capacity of our breathing and possibly the capacity of our aliveness. And so when we use the breath as the foundation, which is the foundation of our understanding of being alive, then we are able to really change our experience and our perception of our experience as well.
That's awesome. So if somebody's listening to this and they're thinking, okay, this whole transformational breathwork thing sounds cool, or whatever. I want to give this a shot. What would be the first step or the procedure, or how would somebody get started doing it that has never done it before?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing really to do is to take the seat of the observer, is to simply get yourself in a position where you have limited distraction, whether that's, being in a dark room, getting rid of your phone, or facing the wall so you don't see too much, or just closing the eyes. Anything that's going to limit what's going to pull your attention away and allows you to start noticing what it feels like to be breathing. And that will be the first step, because the mind has so much richness of distraction that if you can cut out some of the external distractions, especially if you've never practiced this before, I would say that that's the first step. Is, it doesn't have to be perfect, because you can certainly do this techniques anywhere. But when getting started, getting a little bit of a quieter space can really help.
That's awesome. That's cool. And then, if somebody wants some extra help in figuring this out, what is the process there, or how do you work with people to help people do this on more of a, I guess, the next level, if you will?
Sure. Well, I created a simple course. It's called Breathing 101, and it's a progressive course that you can follow along online on your own. I actually just released the new Active Potential app, so it comes directly to your phone. It goes, lesson one through lesson nine. Each one is 15 minutes, and it starts with the observing of the breath, and then takes you through a variety of techniques in order to help you be more present. So we cover like somatics, which is feeling the breath in different spaces in your body and then directing it there. We cover rhythm in the breath, like counting rhythm and using tapping and other techniques to pace your breath, because pacing the breath either evenly balanced between inhale and exhale, or having a longer inhale and a shorter exhale, a longer exhale and a shorter inhale, can really help you shift and change the energy. So, in addition to reducing pain, you would be able to also perk up or calm down and release. And we cover a variety of other techniques that also include visualization. And so those kind of blend towards the more meditative. And the course is progressive, so each lesson builds upon the other, but it also gives you a nice experience of a couple of different, what I say, categories of breathwork techniques. So you could find what resonates for you, within a matter of 9 days, or if you did it once a week, 9 weeks, or every other day, you could really just discover in, 2 hours total all these practices, what resonates for you. And then if you like one, that might be good enough. That might be enough to start the transformative process. Just paying attention to the breath at all can begin to change your awareness, change your consciousness of what's going on inside your body, and allow you to be able to observe your mind, which can really change how you make decisions and what actions you take. So I would recommend that. It's a free course. You can go to activepotential.com/app and download it. It comes right to your phone, or you can watch it on the web if you prefer. Um, and then from there, I do group and one-on-one coaching with folks. So I have other practices, movement techniques that go deeper than observing the breath and moving the breath, but also moving the body more fully. And so if someone is interested in, this foundation of transformative breath work, and then how to build that up to run a marathon or get up and down off the ground or play with their grandkids, it depends what you want to do in your life. We can take it anywhere, just from the breath first.
That's awesome. That's great. So, Lisa Joy, we will link that below so people can check out the show notes. So, you're listening to this or even watching this in the video version, make sure that you check out the link below. We'll have it there. Go download it, check it out because my goodness, it's free. Then, you might as well at least try that out and, see where it goes. You may want to end up hiring her too. So, that's cool. That's awesome. That's
Absolutely.
great. That's an awesome resource. So then that also brings up another question that I think people might be having is how often should somebody engage in this transformational breath work and how long do people usually need to do it, especially if they're in a situation where they've got a lot of autoimmune issues or pain before they're really going to say, okay, hey, I can see this is really starting to work for me.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, I'm going to just reference and say two things. One, everybody is different. But I think that your experience of what's going on can really shift in just one breath. We have these phrases out here like take a deep breath. And it's true, in a matter of moments, in a few seconds, you can shift and change how you feel. So if you have a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear that's wrapped around what's going on for you medically, if you're having, chronic illness, chronic fatigue, and chronic pain, then beginning with obviously just one breath or five breaths, in a row, maybe it takes 30 seconds to a minute, that can shift your experience. If you do it 30 seconds more often, then you get to shift your experience more often. So if you're battling a chronic issue, then it's chronic, right? It's ongoing, it's happening a lot. So in order to shift your experience a lot, you might need to do this breath work a lot, but it doesn't have to take very long. It's not like you have to set aside an hour and then, you have to find an hour. You could find a few seconds, a few minutes. And the idea with transformative breath work and with focusing on the breath and really being more in touch with what's going on in your body in the present moment is that it brings your attention and awareness to it. So the more you practice it, the more your consciousness is experiencing this. Just like if you're in pain a lot and something is always pinging you and pinging your attention and awareness, then your mind is going there. If your lower back hurts, your mind keeps going there every time you take a step or every time you move and it hurts. So if you can develop a practice of noticing your breath and then noticing that you can change your breath, noticing that when you change your breath, you can change how you feel, then you might have a tool that works right there in the moment, right there to battle that other thing that's drawing your attention away. It allows you to take control. And a lot of times when we have medical issues going on, a lot of times it can make us feel out of control. And that out of control feeling can lead to more stress and more fear and tension. And so these techniques are designed to help you gain control, to reduce stress, and to reduce tension. So I would say, every little bit counts and they can accumulate.
That's awesome. That's cool. So should we try a little bit of that right now, maybe? And we'll warn people that if you're driving
Sure.
or doing anything dangerous while you're listening to this, then you'll want to pause and come back later. But if you're in a position where you can follow along with us, let's do it for just a minute or two.
Sure, that sounds wonderful. And I will say this, again, I mentioned about getting quieter and having less distractions. So yes, if you're listening to this while you're driving, do not close your eyes. If you're working with Sherry, do not close your eyes. If you can stop and pause, pull over, or take a minute, that's great. But no matter what you're doing, you can become more aware of how you're breathing and how you're showing up in the moment. So allow yourself to be in this moment. Invite yourself in. Notice that air is traveling in the nostrils, down the throat, and into your lungs. Notice that air is escaping the lungs. It's going up the throat and down and out through the nose, the mouth. If it helps, you can follow my pace of noticing the breath coming in and noticing the breath going out. But no matter what your pace of your breath is, just simply observe it as it's happening in this moment. And then become aware of the sensations of breathing, noticing that the breath is in your nostrils, that you can feel the membranes of your nostrils. Notice the breath moving in your throat. Observe the temperature. It may feel like one temperature on the inhale and another on the exhale. Notice the speed at which the air is moving. And then drop your attention into your torso and feel how your body naturally expands to allow the air in and that your body is in motion. Notice how your body naturally contracts for you to help usher the air out. See if you can feel sensations deep at the level of your lungs. Maybe you can feel your muscles engaging and stretching. Maybe you feel your skin moving against your clothes or the air around you. And you can notice that the space around you allows you to breathe with almost no resistance at all. And that you are able to be alive in this moment with no resistance. You get to be here breathing now. So, that I would say would be the first step to become the observer of the breath. How do you feel?
That'd be awesome. I feel great. I think it definitely helps calm my mind down and stuff. So yeah, so hopefully anybody else that has been listening or watching and following along has felt the same. But yeah, it definitely has an impact on your mind, I think for sure.
Yeah. And that's the idea is that I think in our world of get rich quick, get fit in a week, we're looking for something that's going to shift our entire life. And the truth of the matter is that actually we can shift our entire lives right in the moment, but we think it has to be based on like a little effort and a big result or a lot of effort and a big result. But actually it's about these little results, that calming of your minds, that shifting of your energy that allows you to then go forth and do whatever it is that you want to do, whether that's focus and work, whether that's move to somewhere else or something else, the next step. And so um, we we kind of skip over that sometimes, and we don't realize that the transformation is very possible. It's actually very accessible.
That's awesome. I love that because I think a lot of people, especially people that are listening to this, sometimes they get overwhelmed. They think, oh my gosh, I have to make all these changes immediately, or it's not going to happen fast enough, and I'm still going to feel sick for a long, long time. And well, that may be true. I mean, the transformational breath work isn't going to totally take away any medical diagnosis you've got. It's still a really good way to get a little bit of a relief, if you will, or a little bit of a quick result with something, which is
Yeah,
always a good starting point.
yeah, and I think with with chronic illness and with chronic pain, again, I kind of want to talk about the accumulation and the cumulative effects. So when we have especially anything where the brain and the body have some sort of misfire or miscommunication, right? Like the brain is telling you that your body hurts, but there doesn't seem to be signs of exactly what's going on, like in something like fibromyalgia or other pain and autoimmune related conditions, or something chemical is going on that you're like, why is my brain telling these chemicals to do this, right? This is something that really feels like, yeah, how could we possibly change this medical situation, this thing that's going on in the brain? But our experience of time, of our experience of our body and our lives in time does accumulate. And so if you can take just a few moments to shift your experience back to calm, then you've interrupted the cycle of tension, of pain, of misfire, of overfiring, or whatever is going on, all of the chemical reactions that are going on in your brain that let us know what we feel and what we think and how we can move through space. And so when you create a disruption or an interruption, or you change where your attention is going, you also start to lay a foundation where, oh, for that minute, I actually felt neutral or I felt great. Okay, and then in these 5 minutes, I didn't feel great. But oh, wait, I'm just going to do that breath again. Okay, wait, now I feel great again. So instead of feeling bad, 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 and that's just what lines up and layers up, now you're like, oh, I feel good and I feel bad and I feel good and I feel bad. And you can change the chemistry and it can change the homeostasis or the state of what it is that you feel. And so that has a layered approach. It lays the groundwork in your nervous system as an option. There's an option where I get to feel better. There's an option where I feel neutral. There's an option where I get to experience literally moving my body and it doesn't hurt. And so it teaches your brain that this is part of your life, right? It establishes that this is part of your life and it can accumulate and you can change the trajectory of how you experience and how you perceive what it is that you may have been diagnosed with.
That's awesome. I love that. So, Lisa Joy, do you have any final words for anybody? Anything that I haven't covered at all?
Um, no, I think this has been a really great conversation. I really enjoyed your questions, and I love that we could really showcase and exhibit the power of the breath and the power of the simplicity and the transformative experience of breath work.
Awesome, that's great. So last final call to action, everybody. So go check out the link below, download the app, go give the Transformational Breathwork a try. And if you enjoyed this episode, we'd greatly appreciate it. It would help a lot more people find the podcast if you would rate it and even consider writing us a review and share it with your friends that you know could benefit as well.